Vance showed just how convincing he's going to be when he gets people together under the 25th Amendment to take the presidency away from Donald Trump if he wins.
Kamala Harris has peaked. She got away with excitement right after she got nominated, and she carried that further, but she has not increased her lead at all.
Welcome to the Fourcast, where four frum pundits talk politics. Meet the all-star lineup.
I'm Benjamin Rose, Mishpacha magazine editor-at-large.
I'm Maury Litwack, Teach Coalition CEO and political insider.
I'm Stu Loser, longtime Democratic communications strategist.
And I'm Eli Steinberg, conservative commentator.
Okay, so let's get down to politics.
About 30 days left to the election. We have incredibly exciting topics here. We have momentum movement within the elections. And here today to talk about this is our incredible panelists as always. Welcome to the Fourcast. We have, to kick it off, gentlemen, we have what is really coming down to almost a tie, debating if it's a tie or not. The polls are neck and neck. And there seems to be a strategy that's coming down to two things. The Harris strategy is, let me get in front of every interview that I can get in front of, get out there, and people say they don't know me. I'm going to get out there in front of every interview. Is it working? There's a tremendous amount of commentary criticizing elements of her debate. Others are saying, hey, that's all people are talking about. It's a great strategy. On the Trump side of things, he's out here now attacking Harris predictably. He's attacking her interviews, but he's also finally connecting her to the Biden administration and attacking anything that comes out of the Biden administration, including over the last week, disaster relief. Is that working? Is that a strategy that's working? My take, I think that Harris is commanding the narrative right now. She may be flubbing some of the interviews, but at the end of the day, when your opponent is responding to you, it seems like that's a pretty good strategy. Let's start with Ellie. What do you think's working or not working here?
So there's a lot of data out there, but the truth, right, we always know is that you can't really define how a campaign is going as much by how you see the public data as much as you see how the campaigns are behaving. So take a look at how the Harris campaign is behaving. There's a major shift in their strategy. She didn't do any interviews. Now she's doing interviews. Maury, I'll push back on what you said. You said she's getting out in front of every interview camera. She's not. She's only going on very friendly podcasts.
True, friendly
shows,
ones like Howard Stern,
and
the show that made Donald Trump famous.
And
Howard Stern's a real serious journalist. Let me tell you.
Howard Stern's
One
second. 20 million viewers.
Wait. I mean, I don't care how many viewers he has. He's not as
Ellie, 15 more seconds.
Political
15
journalist.
One more second. Let me just finish what I'm saying. And to the point of whether or not the Trump campaign is connecting her to the Biden administration, they're not the ones doing it. She is. She went on The View, and when she was asked point blank, and this is also a case of her flubbing an answer, would she have done anything differently than the Biden administration? And she said, no, I would have done everything the same.
She's
and then the second
what's
night,
she supposed to say? She could have told the
You're a
truth.
comms guy. You know that if you can answer that question,
Stu, give it to you and then send that over to Benjamin. Stu, go.
I've already done something different. I beat Donald Trump in a debate, and Joe Biden hasn't done that in a long time, is what she could have said. But that's not polite. She's diplomatic, and she's moving on. We all know people who are trying to succeed their boss, take over from their boss, and don't want to insult the boss. Maury, most of what you said is true, and most of what you said is true, Ellie. The part that is missing in this conversation is the ground game. States like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Nevada. I talked to someone in Nevada just last night. The Harris ground game is deep, strong. It is tons of people on the ground reaching people, and that is the part we're not seeing. Whereas Trump, all he has is TV ads and attacking. He doesn't
the vaunted ground game. The vaunted ground game the Democrats always have. 2016 also, we were hearing all about the Dem ground game. This time what happened? This time it's true.
Benjamin, you've covered so many races. What do you think here? Is this Harris interview strategy working or not? Is the Trump attack strategy working or not? Is it all in the past anyway? Stu argues that it's the ground game. What do you think, Benjamin?
Look, you have to get it out in front of the voters. There's no alternative to that. I think Trump is getting out in front of the voters. It's Kamala Harris who is more in front of the cameras right now because she's got to make up for lost time in that regard. Look, Donald Trump is always going to be reactive. Just because he reacts to a perceived insult doesn't mean that he's on the defensive. This is how he is. This is how he behaves. This is his MO, and he's always going to keep that up. So I don't think that we can judge from that who's got the momentum in the campaign. My instinct, Maury, is that Kamala Harris has peaked. She got away with excitement right after she got nominated, and she carried that further, but she has not increased her lead at all. And in fact, most of the states that she needs to win, she's either behind barely or she's barely ahead. I would think that if she was going to win, that she would have had a bigger lead right now in every state that she needed to, and she doesn't. So again, that's my sense. I think she's peaked, and I think that Trump has the momentum.
It's very hard to say that just from a historical perspective, right? To say
Well,
that Kamala
Maury
Harris has
asked me,
peaked.
Ellie, Maury asked me from my experience, and I'm giving you my instinct.
No, I got that.
I mean, it's more of an instinct than science, but that's how I perceive it right now.
We like gut takes here, so we appreciate Binyamin's gut take here. Ali, your gut take is you didn't comment on what the Trump strategy is. Is it Trump strategy? Is there a strategy right now? Is it working?
The Trump strategy is definitely, we're used to this whole idea of let Trump be Trump and now it being a whole bucket of chaos. And it's not what we're getting this campaign. We're not getting that this campaign. He has people running the campaign who are much more competent than he's had in the past. And take, for example, Wisconsin, where Trump is literally has, between him and Vance, they're going through county by county to actually make a very grown-up play at winning this thing. You take everything like that.
They're no longer doing. They were no longer. They used to be doing 1/4 the number of rallies and events as 2016. Now they're doing about 1/3 as many. They have increased, but they're still in the hole from where they used to be.
It's not the point.
But when we talk about the ground game here, and this is why I want to focus us a little bit, etc. If we pivot a little bit, because I don't know if we're going to have consensus over the Harris debate strategy versus over the Harris.
I want to talk about that a little bit more.
Versus the Trump strategy of attack. On the ground game, let me just differentiate two things. When we're talking about ground game, we're talking about people on the ground, registering voters, getting people out to vote, getting their side to show up, and I believe that's what Stu's talking about.
Yep.
What Ellie and Binyamin
I agree with that.
What Ellie and Binyamin are talking about is Trump doing rallies and getting that out. What's making people in the field nervous on the Republican side, and what's making the Democrats excited is their argument is that's not going to work to win an election. Let's dig down on that. Binyamin, you agree with that or you disagree?
I've written in my column on more than one occasion, also recently, that the winner of this race will be the one who succeeds in getting the turnout out to vote.
So
it all comes down to turnout.
So, Ali, quickly, do you
turnout, just like in real estate, location.
But the question is, who is it?
Right.
Who is it? I mean, Trump is going on center right podcast to get people who don't normally vote. Kamala Harris is going on Howard Stern and Call Me Daddy and all to get people who don't normally vote.
What are those?
Those are podcasts.
Those are base, right? Those are also turning to the base.
No, they're not our base. They're young people who actually don't vote. They're people who are occasional voters and not always voters. And they're people who do not, who turned out for Biden but did not turn out for Clinton. You brought up 2016. They're fixing the mistake of 2016 by pulling the people who don't normally vote.
So let's talk about her appearances, right? Let's talk about her appearances because she has the perfect mix of being so terribly and transparently fake and also struggling to say anything of substance. And you have those two things together, you get the answers like she gets when
this is what Ellie says every week. She doesn't do it. Stu, you heard Stu. She was asked, right. I'll pick one question because I know you referred to this in an earlier podcast, right? She was asked whether or not Netanyahu is an ally, right? She's not.
What did she say? She talked around the issue.
What did she say? She's not going to tell the truth.
What did she say? She said, I wouldn't answer that question. No,
Netanyahu
is not.
She said, "This is a diplomatic issue, and I'm going to give a diplomatic answer because I'm here on the View." By the way, here is my concrete plan, Ellie. You talk about
we've got about a minute for
Medicare money to keep your parents in the house.
What does ending the war in Ukraine look like?
We got a minute.
What
we got
does
a minute
success in the
left.
war in Ukraine look like?
We got a minute left. Let's do the following. I just want to know the following. I want to know the following thing. 20 seconds apiece. Is who has the offensive strategy here between Harris and Trump? Who is on offense here between Harris and Trump? Binyamin, go first here.
Harris has started to take the offense by going and doing as many interviews as she had. Before that, I think she was playing prevent defense because she was sitting on her lead, and now she realizes either she doesn't have a lead anymore or it's shrinking, so she's got to work harder and try harder.
Ellie?
I think that Kamala Harris is definitely trying to play offense, but she has a very big problem that she keeps on putting her foot in her mouth. You think, like the Dem said, Mitt Romney was a flip-flopper. Kamala Harris makes Mitt Romney look like a rock stuffing concrete.
Stu?
Pro-abortion, Donald Trump is now anti-abortion. I keep on talking about abortion, not because it's an issue that's important to us on our community, but because it shows how he is willing to sell out anyone once he has their vote locked up. She's in charge. She's setting the dynamic. All the conversations we're having are about her. All he can do is attack.
We're having these conversations
All right,
about her,
we're-
Stu,
we're-
because
we're gonna
people
move-
don't
we're gonna move
know
on- we're gonna
what
move
she
on-
represents.
we're gonna move on to
and
the
she can't
next.
make the case anymore.
gonna
She's
move on
trying
to
Well,
the
make
yes,
the case.
people
She
do think
can't
she's
make
more
it.
of a change agent.
We can
Yes,
agree.
and they don't.
Stu and-
Donald Trump
Stu
won
and
because he was a
Stu and
change
Ellie-
agent. Only
Stu-
I
she's
can empty the
trying.
swamp.
Stu-
And
Stu
she
and-
is now the
cannot
change agent.
make the
Absolutely
case
true, Ellie. We
for her
agree. That
candidacy.
is what the
She just
data
said
Stu
that
and
she
Ellie
was
can
trying.
agree. Stu and Ellie have bipartisan consensus that last 20 seconds does not mean last 20 seconds for them. All right, let's go on to the next thing. Here we go. So we're going to go into the lightning round here, and we're really excited here because we got some good questions, not just for our panelists, but also from our listeners. So really excited about that. We're gonna pull those up as well. So first and foremost, Waltz or Vance, who won this debate? I think that JD Vance overwhelmingly won it. I don't even think it was close. That's my take. Stu, what do you think?
Vance showed just how convincing he's going to be when he gets people together under the 25th Amendment to take the presidency away from Donald Trump if he wins.
Ellie?
Absolutely did a great
Stu
job.
wants Trump to listen to this so he can try to like cook a little bit between them over there, but it's not going to work. Vance ran
Trump
away
is
with
gonna
this
listen to
thing.
this.
No, of course he's listening
Hello,
to
Mr.
this.
President.
Of
All right,
course
come
he's
on,
listening
come
to
on.
this.
Ellie, go.
No, it's not a question. Vance walked away with this debate, but like Maury says, it doesn't really make a difference. The place where it does make a difference is you saw the difference in the favorability ratings that Vance had before the debate, when all people knew about it was what the media was saying, and then people actually saw the guy and so wait, this is a guy who I can get to know and I can get to like.
Benjamin?
In our last podcast before the debate, remember I said that Vance would win the debate, but the media would declare Walz the winner. So Walz did such a poor job that the media couldn't declare Walz the winner, but they did say that it was a tie. So tie goes to the runner, and I think that Vance was the runner. He won hands down.
A second Vance question comes from a listener, which says that Vance has a history of being much more extremist than Trump. He definitely comes from a, quote, religious isolationist right-wing camp. Considering Trump's age and his weight problem, should we not be hesitant to put Vance as second in line to the presidency and the nuclear codes? Ellie, what do you think of that question?
Does Vance have a history of extremism? Vance is as mainstream a candidate as you can find, somebody who's able to talk about issues that have long been subject of the media, trying to paint the Republicans as the devil and advocating for them. And more importantly, speaking English about the importance of supporting working people who play by the rules and do what's right, and being able to bring those people into the tent.
Benjamin, what do you think, Benjamin?
From another aspect and angle, I would say that it was an excellent question, and I'll explain why. It forced me to look up exactly what's involved in the nuclear codes. And for this, I thank Dr. Ian Kurtz, the academic director for the Department of Nuclear Studies at Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico, who writes that while the president does possess the authority to give the final order for a nuclear attack, contrary to popular opinion, there is no button, nor does the president have access to nuclear launch codes, as if he could enter a few numbers into a transmitter and missiles thousands of miles away would fly out of their silos. So once the president signals his intention that we need to go on a nuclear attack, the next step is to confer with the top brass. It could be the Secretary of Defense, senior military officers.
I got it, but what, Benjamin, topless? What do you think of that? So what about Vance for that process?
So no president can just push the button. Every president would have to consult with the top military and national security advisors before going on a nuclear attack. Just pushing a button, even if they could, would amount to a war crime.
We know Trump's button brings a Diet Coke. You trust him with that?
The question was about Vance and who he is. I mean, it's a great question. I disagree with Ellie on this, too. I think there was a great question. And we're taping this on October 9th. I'm going to read a tweet from October 9th by J.D. Vance. Trump makes people I care about afraid. Immigrants, Muslims, etc. Because of this, I find him reprehensible. God wants better of us. That's a tweet by J.D. Vance on October 9th. Not
He's doing Cuba.
9th,
God wants
a
better from
previous
us. I mean,
one.
this is the time
So,
of year
like,
that God wants better from us.
the questioner is right to say J.D. Vance, talk about flip-flopping, Ellie. J.D. Vance, anti-Trump, considers him like Hitler, is now flip-flopping and not to be trusted against Donald Trump.
Stu mentioned my name. I believe by the rules that gives me 30 seconds.
No, we're gonna keep. We're gonna keep.
We were
Lightning
told there were
round.
no rules.
I'm saying one thing, just one thing,
It
just
gotta
one
be
thing about
fast.
this.
It gotta be
It's
fast.
not called flip-flopping. Just very clear direction. When you have a belief about a policy and you change your mind backwards and forwards, that's called flip-flopping. If somebody
Let's keep
believes
going.
something the way the media was
who's a
reporting
better-
about somebody
who's a
and
better
learned
surrogate?
information and changed their mind, that's
Okay,
not a flip-flop.
Who's a better surrogate? Would you rather have Elon Musk or Liz Cheney? I would rather have Elon Musk. I think Liz Cheney, the second that she went for Harris, was dismissed by most of the Republican Party, which is typically the case when people change sides in political processes. But who would you rather have? Would you rather have Elon Musk, Benjamin, or would you rather have Liz Cheney backing you?
I'd rather have Elon Musk. He's more influential. As far as Liz Cheney is concerned, I wrote about this a couple of years ago when she lost her primary, that she's irrelevant. If she couldn't get 50,000 votes as an incumbent in her own district in a primary, then how is she going to influence America to say, okay, well, I'm for Harris, so everyone else should vote for Harris? Forget it. Irrelevant.
Ellie talked about the great organization of the Trump campaign. Elon Musk is the proof case. Trump spent $1 million on TV ads in Michigan saying that Kamala Harris wants to take your regular car, your internal combustion car away and mandate an EV. Not true, but he spent $1 million. And then he had Elon Musk, the king of EVs, who also wants to take away your regular car and give you an EV, campaign with him in Pennsylvania, blowing up $1 million. They have no organization. They have no coherence. They're just like children throwing things at a wall. They're attacking. You know, I like Elon Musk in that he is an example of just how terrible the Trump campaign is doing.
All right, Ellie.
McKay Coppins once called Marco Rubio the young candidate that old people think young people like. Liz Cheney is the Republican surrogate that Democrats think Republican likes. Nobody likes her. She's not moving the needle an iota. Elon Musk, probably not either. People don't vote for surrogates. People vote for candidates. So either way, Elon Musk.
That's a good Mishpacha column. We got to write that. We got to talk about that. Okay, let's go two more real quick. And again, we apologize for the lightning round, but it is lightning. It's hitting all over the place. Another one from our listener who asked, many of the original aides influencers of the former Trump White House have stated the place was chaotic, that many times the adults in the room had to talk Trump down from extreme statements positions. Who is he going to find now, basically? Who is going to be available for him in a second term? And how's that bode for his second term presidency? Ellie, what do you think of that?
Very underappreciated is how much of the chaos in the Trump first administration were all these people who thought that the point of the Trump cabinet is to save the country from the duly elected president. Democracy is the people voting for who they want and getting it. And people who vote for Trump should get it. He's going to staff it with people who won't be undermining him. J.D. Vance is a very capable guy and will be good.
Agree.
What do we think?
I agree. His transition chairman told the Financial Times this week, we are going to have a loyalty test. You're going to have to be like us. You're going to have to say things like us, like talk about globalists, which is an anti-Semitic trope. And I'm saying this not as an association, but Donald Trump elevates voices and reflects voices about people who say things that also attack Jews, things about globalists. Trump talked this week about bad genes. Some people have bad genes and some people have good genes. We agree. Those are the people he's going to put in his administration this time. The kind of people who thinks that you can genetically separate individuals. I happen to think that the long thread of history shows that that tends not to work out good for Jews.
You could say murderers have bad genes.
Benjamin, again, you and I spent a lot of time looking at history and looking at these things. I think we both can agree it's very troubling how many, I don't know any historical precedent for this, of former cabinet members saying this. I do think it's a problem for a Trump second term if he were to win one. What do you think here, Benjamin?
Look, in Trump's first presidency, he relied on the people who worked with him in real estate. David Friedman, Jared Kushner, and Jason Greenblatt. I think they all outperformed majorly. They really rose to the occasion. Some of Trump's picks in his first term, like Rex Tillerson for Secretary of State, was ridiculous. James Mattis for Secretary of Defense, who thought that the capital of Israel is Tel Aviv. These were bad picks. Every president has big turnover in the White House. Every president gets complaints about from the people who work for him. People complain that Kamala Harris is very nasty and she's hard to work for. People say the same thing about Biden. I would direct the reader to a couple of articles in Politico over the last few months where they've done a very deep dive into who are working behind the scenes and who would have senior roles in either a Trump administration or a Harris administration. They did a lot of research. I would say on both sides, there's a lot of good names, seasoned people. And even if those are the people who end up getting the jobs, I guarantee there will be a lot of turnover in either administration because that's just the way it goes.
Can I say, I haven't agreed with Binyamin. I've been agreeing with Eli. I agree with Binyamin. Binyamin says it's deeply problematic that you have a senior official who doesn't understand the basic geography of Israel. I agree. That's why I was so scared this week when Donald Trump says, I've been to Gaza, which he never has been, because he doesn't understand what Gaza is, what Gaza is, what the difference between it is. That's really scary.
We're way over
It's scary that Trump knows nothing about Israel. Come on, Stu,
we're
come on.
way over the light. We're way over the lightning round. You can check out. I'm not sure what these political articles Binyamin's talking about because I only read Mishpacha magazine, so I'm not sure what he's talking about. But I'm sure you can find them online. All right, we have very little time for our big, bold predictions. I'm going to kick it off by coming back to one of our questions. I have a big sensational prediction. I think Elon Musk, as the weeks go by, is going to flip-flop, and I think he's going to find a way to pull back from his support of Trump as the polls continue to not show Trump in the lead, which I don't think they're going to show him over the next couple weeks, and we'd have a whole debate about the polls. But I think Musk is going to make big news as he pulls back from it. He's done this before. He's changed his position, midstream before. I think it's going to be big news that he does it. That's my big, bold prediction on it, and I'll kick it over to Binyamin. What do you got for us?
Other than the chances of a Subway Series, I would say that I'm going to be bold here. I'm going to say that Donald Trump is going to win the election. And I think he's going to get either close to 300 electoral votes or slightly more.
Ellie, what do you got for us?
So mine is not as much a big, bold prediction as much as something to keep an eye on. We got news that